Hello, everyone. It's time for our Week 11 NEC Football Geico Google Hangout. I'm Ralph Ventre here at NEC headquarters in Somerset, New Jersey. I'm fired up for this week's NEC Game of the Week on ESPN3. That game will feature Wagner at Robert Morris, Saturday at noon. We're joined today by a member of Robert Morris, Nick Faraci. He'll be playing in that contest on Saturday. Before we get to meet Nick, I just want to remind you that today's NEC Football Google Hangout is brought to you by Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% on your car insurance. Visit geico.com. With that said, it's time to bring in our featured guest, the Week 11 Hangout guest. It's Robert Morris Center, Nick Faraci. Nick, first of all, thanks for your time today. And I want to say that this is a little bit of a landmark day here in Week 11 because you are the first offensive lineman to join us in a hangout this season. So we've had wide receivers, we may even had some kickers in there, but finally some love for the big guys up front. So you're finally breaking the streak, Nick.
Thank you. It's an honor to be with you today on the Hangout. So thanks for having me.
Anytime, Nick. Now there's a game on Saturday. We'll have plenty of time to get to that, but let's kick this off with some academic news. Yesterday, you were one of a number of NEC football players to earn academic all-district honors, and now you'll go into a national pool and you'll be eligible for academic all-America honors. So you have a 3.92 GPA. Congratulations on that. I want to ask you now, you're a nursing major, so let's get right into that. A nursing major, Nick. Break that down for us. How did you decide to study that discipline? What's it like, and what have you learned so far?
Yeah, well, I guess you wouldn't expect a football player to be a nursing major, let alone an offensive lineman. Must be the big tough guys, in the trenches. But it's been an interesting 4 years so far with the whole nursing thing. Definitely keeps me busy. I have clinicals 2 to 3 days a week down at the hospitals in Pittsburgh or locally. So I usually spend my daytime hours down at the hospital, and then I come up to practice and meetings. So like I said, it keeps me busy. It's been interesting, and it's two opposite sides of the spectrum. You have to have that caring aspect, with nursing, and then I come to practice later on, and you have to be an offensive lineman. You have to be dirty and tough, and you know how that goes. So it's been interesting, but with the coaches, the professors here at Robert Morris, they're great. We have a couple athletes in the nursing major. There's a couple track athletes and things of that sort. So the professors definitely help me deal with it. If we're traveling on Fridays, they make sure that I get the work in that I need to get in, and the coaches on the other end, they do the same. If I'm going to be a little late for practice or a meeting, they deal with it and make sure that I catch up and I get the extra film work in that I need, or things of that sort. So yeah, it's an interesting mix, but it seemed to work out so far.
Now you're a senior academically. I assume you'll graduate this May. Okay, so it's a 4-year program, the nursing program.
Right, it's a 4-year nursing program, and like you said, I'm a senior academically. I still have 1 more year of eligibility. I like to plan to go to medical school, so I'd have to finish up with some prerequisites the following year for next year. So we'll see where it takes me.
So you would like to play that 5th year at Robert Morris, postgraduate year, play some football, and then prepare with some coursework toward medical school.
Right, yeah. I love it here. I've loved the 4 years of football and school, so I definitely want to come back for that 5th year. And like I said, I have hopes of going on to medical school, so I'll finish up here with nursing in May and hopefully continue on.
Now 392 though, Nick. Why not? Why not a 4-0 here? What's going on? You're slipping up a little bit.
Yeah, a couple. Yeah, microbiology sophomore year. It was a tough one.
Oh yeah, that was a tough one. I know that one, man. Microbiology always got me too. Anyway, you said you've enjoyed football, so let's talk a little football. First, I want to know about opponents here in the NEC. You're an offensive lineman. You're a center. Who are some of the toughest defensive linemen you've gone up against the past few years in the Northeast Conference? I know you've seen two good ones already this year, Jeff Kovitz from Bryant and Troy Moore from Sacred Heart. So give us kind of the state of defensive line play here in the NEC as a center on the other side of the ball.
Right. Yeah. Jeff and Troy are definitely two of the better defensive linemen in our conference. But I think week to week, honestly, with the NEC, at least what I've experienced over the past couple of years, is the defensive line has always been a strong point in this conference. No matter what team you're playing, it seems that they always have someone on the other side of the ball who's pretty strong at the defensive line position. So it's definitely been an experience playing against guys of that caliber. But on Robert Morris and ourselves, I've experienced a couple great defensive linemen over the years. When I came in my freshman year, I got to play against Nolan Neerhoof. I'm sure you remember.
Absolutely.
He was a great defensive lineman, and we always went one-on-one in practice. I always wanted to go against him. I wanted to go against the best, and he was a great teammate, and taught me a lot about myself. Forrest Mason, who we have currently at defensive end, he's another one. Even though he's a DN and I'm a center, we still make sure to go one-on-ones with each other, every week, and just to better ourselves and teach each other what our weaknesses are and things like that. So not only do I see great defensive linemen in the conference, but on what I've experienced here at Robert Morris has been great and helping me improve my skills.
Well, you mentioned Mason. Of course, he won some weekly honors from the NEC earlier in the year, and of course Nolan Neerhoof. Nolan Neerhoof was the all-time sack leader in NEC history up until a couple of weeks ago, and Kovitz from Bryant actually overtook Neerhoof's NEC record. So certainly you have a couple of greats that have come through the Robert Morris program during your time. And you mentioned going up against Neerhoof one-on-one in practice, and that leads into my next question, because I want to talk about your progression as an athlete at Robert Morris, and obviously going up against someone of Nolan's caliber, that had to challenge you, and I assume it helped your progression. The question being, 30 consecutive starts for you, Nick. Start number 31 will be on Saturday against Wagner on ESPN3. How are you different heading into start number 31 than, let's say, start number 3? Do you feel like you've grown? Have you become a better player? And if so, what has aided you in this progression?
Yeah, I definitely feel that I've progressed. My first start was against North Dakota State, actually, at North Dakota State. So that was definitely
get thrown in the fire, right?
Yeah.
Fargo Dome, 20,000 crazy fans. Yeah, that's a great way to start to kick it off.
I couldn't even hear the quarterback, and he was under center. But that was an experience, in itself. But yeah, over the years, I came into this program. I'm a bit undersized, so I definitely, being that way, I had to focus more on hitting the weight room to get bigger, and especially my technique is what I really need to focus on. Being a little undersized as an offensive lineman in the Northeast Conference. So Coach Richardson, our offensive line coach, he really took me under his wing and helped me progress in my technique and just my overall play on the field. I think one thing that he helped me with the most was my overall understanding of the game. What type of things to look for from a defensive aspect and not only schemes but different defensive techniques and ways to to play against great defensive linemen like we talked about previously that are in this conference. Coming in also, I was playing under Logan Miles, my redshirt freshman year. He was an all-conference center before me. Brad Rogers was an all-conference guard before me. So those two guys really also took me under their wing that redshirt freshman year, and I was able to watch them play. I was able to, try to mimic what they did, to hopefully one day be on that caliber that they were at. But yeah, definitely over the years I progressed. I think what I would say from that North Dakota State game until now is just, like I said, my overall understanding of the game of football and how the offense works and my confidence in the middle. As a center, you have to be the leader of the offensive line, and, I love having it. And being at that position, you have to have confidence and you have to be able to relay calls, and you have to be the smartest guy on the field, really, to know what the defense is doing, what to expect, how to read different blitzes and things like that. So with the help of Coach Richardson and the guys before me, I think they really helped me to progress into where I'm at now, heading into Game 31.
Well, you mentioned some of the guys who have come before you, Logan Miles, and who would have thought Big Red, Brad Rogers, would get a shout-out on today's Google Hangout. But obviously those guys were integral pieces of Robert Morris's championship run back in 2010. Now, you mentioned as an understudy to those veteran all-conference offensive linemen. Now you're in that role on your own, 4 years later. And you're on a pretty young team. How does it feel to be one of a few veteran leaders on a young team who has had its struggles at times this year? What do you see your role as, and what are you trying to relay to the younger guys out there?
Yeah, like you said, we are a very young team. In facing a couple injuries that we faced this year, we had to become even younger. So it's been a crazy year, definitely one that we didn't expect, one that we would have hoped for, a better year. But these young guys that we have on the team, they've definitely progressed and they've definitely grown up a bit from week 2 and those beginning weeks. You've seen that progression, but what I try to instill in these young guys is just come out every day, and it's not high school. Everybody's good in high school. Everybody at this level was a superstar in high school. So I try to just tell these guys that it's not that way anymore. Everybody else is just as good, if not better than you at this point. So I think they've started to understand that and realize that they have to come out every day of practice. They need to come out every drill, every play, and just put 100% effort and really focus on getting better every day at practice, because you can't waste a day, because like I said, this is a different level of football. So I've just tried to really instill that in these young guys, that they have to put in that work and that effort every day in the weight room, on the field, like I said, every drill. And I have seen them grow. I've seen them progress. Obviously, I get to see the young offensive linemen more than other positions, but even in other positions, D-backs, we're especially young at that position. We had a young running back. Unfortunately, he's out with injuries now, but I've seen him progress. It's been a year of progression for sure, and hopefully that will help us finish this year strong and lead into next year, because these young guys are very talented, and if they continue to progress and work the way they have, then it will be a bright future for them.
I believe you were alluding to Ramses Owens, who had a couple of really great games as a rookie in the first half of the season. And, of course, a guy, Nick Lamika, who comes over to the offensive side of the ball and has had some success at receiver. So definitely some young talent there at the skill positions for Robert Morris. I want to ask you now, what do you and that young talent hope to accomplish in the final 3 weeks of the season here? Obviously 3 games to go, starting Saturday with Wagner on ESPN3. Actually, 2 of the 3 games will be on ESPN3. November 22nd in Kane, we'll have that game as well. So obviously your record isn't what you want it to be, but you'll have 3 more opportunities to go out and play on Saturday and have a good time out there and showcase your talents. So what are you guys going to try to take away from these last 3 weeks?
I think we're just going to go out there and just play our game. I think we definitely, obviously haven't played to the potential that we feel that we could have played to throughout the season. So, the way we took this past bye week and these past couple weeks of practice, as Coach Banaszak has just, instilled in us that we have that never quit attitude, and we got to pride ourselves in that never quit attitude. I think that we showed that against Central Connecticut, being down 18 points. And we were proud to come out with that win because, we didn't give up, we didn't quit. And that's kind of where we're at in the season right now. We have a never quit attitude at this point. We're still practicing hard every day, practicing the same we would as if we were 8-0, 7-1. It doesn't really faze us in our minds. We know where we're at, obviously. We know what we've done in the past, 10 weeks of the season. But we've really tried to learn from it. We've really tried to progress each week, every practice. And with these last couple of games, we're just, our goal is obviously to win, obviously get better every game, every week, and go out and show that, we haven't played to our potential and that we actually are better than our record says and better than we've shown this year. Because, like you said, it's like I said before, it's not what we expected. It's been a frustrating year, but at this point, you got to have pride. You got to finish off the season, and who knows what can happen, honestly, with this conference. You never know. So that's basically what we're trying to do, set out, not give up, and just finish strong.
Absolutely, and you already have 1 win, so if you do run the table, 4-2, last year 4-2 won the league. So like you said, this is a crazy, crazy league. But I want to leave you on this note. We've talked about some of the great defensive linemen in this league, some on your team, some past Robert Morris players, of course, some of the guys playing out there this week. Your head coach, though, first-year head coach John Banaszak, he has some experience playing the defensive line. I know he's getting up there in age, but have you ever seen him in pads, and how would he stack up as an NEC defensive lineman?
Oh, Coach B. Coach Banaszak, he's a man. He in camp, actually, he brought back some old 70s Steelers one-on-ones. He brought back some old film on himself, and all the greats, back in, the Steel Curtain days. So we got to watch him out there in pads, and it was exciting to see him play, and that he was trying to show us the effort he put into practice and how he came out and how all those guys came out to practice every day. I mean, those guys are the best of the best and will always be the best of the best. So, he showed us that on film, and it was fun to watch him go in the one-on-ones back in the 70s. But I mean, even in practice today, he comes out and he still puts on a couple moves. It's surprising for me to get in my stance and look up and see Coach B standing over top of me, ready to go in a one-on-one or things like that. So he definitely brings energy to the team, and he puts his life and everything into this sport and this team. So it's great to learn from a legend. I mean, a future legend. It is a legend now. Someone like him who's won so many Super Bowls and has a great history with the game. So it's enjoyable to learn from him.
You mentioned, obviously, John Banaszak. I believe he has 3 Super Bowl rings from his time with the Steelers. He has an NEC championship ring as well. Of course, he was the associate head coach to Joe Walton for a few years before he took over. And yeah, like you mentioned, I think he's in his 60s now, but no matter what, I wouldn't want to meet that guy in a dark alley, that's for sure. Whoa. So with that said, Nick, I want to thank you for joining us today. You gave us some great insight into the Robert Morris program and also what it takes to be a nursing major. So we really enjoy that. We appreciate your time. Nick Faraci, everybody, 3.92 GPA, 30 consecutive starts as Robert Morris's center, and you will see this man take on the Wagner Seahawks Saturday, Week 11, 12 noon Eastern Time on ESPN3. Nick, thanks a lot. For Nick Faraci out in Moon Township, I'm Ralph Ventre. Until next week, thanks for joining us on this Geico Google Hangout.